And welcome back to A.R. Sales, aka the A.R.T podcast. I am Amita Bala, and today we got the gang back. All right, the mystery van is parked outside. The dogs are literally all around us. All right, they just can't talk yet. Well, they can talk to me, but we have Laurie. We have Laurie Oknowsky, Alexa, and Alexandra Robinson. I don't even know. I was going with Lexi and just like Alexandra Robinson and Marie Terry.
You just called her Alexander?
No, I didn't. I said Alexandra. Whatever. That's how you know we're friends. All right. When I can mess up your name and we're still laughing about it. All right. No hate mail here. If you send me an email talking shit, I won't respond. All right. Only love here. Laurie, author of the Dreaming of Wilder. I was about to say the release date, but I myself, I'll let you take care of that. Then we have Lust and Deceit 2, the sequel of Lust and Deceit. Yo, you need to pick it up. Like I honestly, if you haven't yet, I don't know what you're doing. And then we have Marie Terry with the ongoing Dreadful Desire. First of all, let's just dive right into that. How is everybody's publication going? Where can people find your work? How's everything going on with that?
Well, we're still working with Class of 95. That's been out since last October. Dreaming of Wilder is being edited, and hopefully, cross my fingers, this year it will be out. I'm going to do self-publishing this time around, I believe. And I already am now on Kindle Vella, which is on Kindle, they have launched a serial type platform where you can read chapters at a time. The first 3 chapters are always free. And then after that, you buy tokens in order to unlock new content, new chapters. It's around the same thing as Inkitt, Wattpad, Radish, those types of platforms, but Kindle has created their own. And it's very new. It's been out maybe about 2 weeks now. So I have 2 books on there. The sequel to Dreaming of Wilder is on there, and a book I'm co-authoring with a friend of mine is also on there. So,
man, that is really exciting. That's really cool. Kindle Vella, wow.
Kindle Vella. It's only through the app of Kindle on iPhone platforms. Android, you have to still go through it on Amazon. They don't have an app yet, accessibility for Androids. But yeah, it's still fairly new. It's still in its infancy. There are still things that are being ironed out, visibility, things like that. But yeah, it's so far, I'm the only one reading my stories, but it's okay.
Man, that longing, just like that longing in the eyes. Well, it's okay. We've all been there, trust me. We've all been there. We'll all be there. I don't know. It's such I think it's like a really cool part of the process that you can vividly remember like the dark days, and then like somebody will like give you an awesome glowing review on like Amazon, and it just like brings you back to like cloud 19, and you just like feel like amazing. Like it's such a roller coaster, this whole like craft.
And the best thing about being on Kindle Vella is the fact that you can have both. If you are an author that has books on Kindle, you can also have books that are on Kindle Vella, which is a completely different, you can have completed books and you can have ones that are updated, every so often. So I figure for a time being, the sequel to Dreaming of Wilder will be on there until it's ready to be published. And this way, I see if anybody is willing to read it, and it's in its first draft. So we'll see how that goes.
So I'm actually curious, do you is this like a paid site? Like, do they have to pay to read it?
Yeah, like I said, the first 3 episodes are free.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, you have to pay tokens in order to unlock the following chapters.
Okay.
And the cost of the coins that you need to pay to read is based upon the length of the chapter.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah,
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
actually
the-
fascinating.
the minimum amount of words that you can have is 600 up to 5,000. But if you have chapters that are 4,000 words, be ready to spend at least 30 tokens on a chapter to read.
Oh, wow.
But they're fairly reasonably priced, and authors get a royalty from the tokens that are purchased.
Oh,
Okay.
that's cool.
So you get paid.
Now,
Interesting.
that's fascinating. Now, going to the whole thing of having books completed versus ongoing chapters, what can it work parallel? For example, you have Dreaming of Wilder up. Can you also have Dreaming of Wilder as a full book that you can just buy outright while also having, okay. So
No.
that's more
It
of a
could-
Dreaming
it-
of Wilder 1 is free, but as Wilder 2, it's like the chapter ongoing thing, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And then when you finish the book and you have it all edited and you have a good cover, you can take it off Kindle Vella and switch it onto Kindle.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it
Oh,
could
very
be
cool.
transferred, but it can't be both places. It could be
Okay.
transferred over, but it can't be on
Okay.
both places. Not only that, but when you have books on Kindle Vella, you cannot have it posted where it's free. So, like if it's, you have to remove, say if it's on like Wattpad, you have to take it off of Wattpad. But you can have it on a paid site like Patreon.
Okay.
Okay, so I have another question. So I know like with Patreon, you can have your book there and on a free site, but it has to be like 30 days after you update it. Is that the same thing, or you just can't have it anywhere that's free?
You
With
cannot
Kindle
have
Vella?
it anywhere that's free.
Okay.
Only places where it's paid for. So I can have I can have Sealing Our Fate on Patreon for members, and I can have it on Kindle Vella, because like I said, not everybody is able to read Kindle Vella stories yet.
Yeah.
Because they don't have it for an Android yet.
Okay.
But I cannot have it for free on Inkitt
Okay.
and Kindle Vella. It's one or the other. Because
Got it.
you're getting paid as the author, and Amazon is getting paid as the holding.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
The hosting platform.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
that's pretty exciting news for like any authors like listening in. I mean, I'm honestly like, my mind just racing right now thinking about the possibilities with that. I mean, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very easy to use. The only thing is that it, to an extent, they approve the content you put on. So you still have to follow within their, guidelines. But the good thing is too, they have what they call mid-grade versions. So if you're under a certain age, you can't go and read certain types of material. So kids
that's actually really, really good, because especially like with Wattpad, like there's a lot now children reading these stories that they shouldn't be reading.
Yeah.
So I think that's actually interesting. I have another question. So when you publish on Kindle Vella, you have to go do it through KDP?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a separate place. It's a different link that they provide, but it's the same main page of KDP, but instead of putting a full book on, like you're publishing an ebook or a print book, it's a different link that's like beneath it. And when you go into your library to read, they have now that they didn't have before because it wasn't launched yet. They have a different hyperlink for specific Kindle Vella stories, but it's still accessible in your library.
Okay.
Okay.
And also
Interesting.
too, you can add Kindle Vella stories on Goodreads.
Okay, that's amazing.
Nice.
So yeah, so
Hmm.
they have that possibility of still leaving reviews. And not only that, but with Kindle Vella, there's more interaction. So like authors can leave at the end of a chapter certain notes for readers. You can like, and you can leave comments. You can do the direct quotes like you could with an ebook and Kindle.
Nice.
So it's not a bad platform, but they have some certain kinks that they still need to work out. You know, like they have to do more promoting. They haven't really done very much. They did a very soft launch. They also, I think they still have it available that if you want to read, they're offering 200 free tokens that you can start off with. And when you run out of the 200, you can buy more.
Okay.
And like I said, they're not that badly priced. I think when you break down the price per coin, it's like 11 cents or something each coin. It comes out to be. It's fairly cheap. It's fairly inexpensive. It's not that bad.
Nice.
Yeah, that is, again, phenomenal. I mean, I just love how the platforms go, and that's definitely something I want to get to towards the end of the podcast, about platforms that people can use, because like that's a big thing. Goodreads, Barnes and Noble. I mean, people always say that these things are up there, but like, what is the actual math on getting it up there? I feel like that's part of like the math, part of the equation that isn't really shown. And I would love to like hear like your opinions on that, on how to, you know, reach different platforms and go to different things. But before that, Lexi and Marie, what's going on with Lust in the Sea before we get into the heat of the podcast?
Okay. Lust in the Sea is actually almost finished. It's actually I have 12 more chapters left. 12 more chapters left to write, and then at the end of August, I sent it out to my editor. So this book will be edited, because the first book I didn't. It was just me and my husband, because I just wanted to see how the process was. And going through the process with book one, I realized, okay, I want to do things a little bit more professional. So I contacted an editor who was able to fit me in her schedule. So hopefully by September, early October, the book will be out, depending on how fast she finishes the book. So.
Yeah, congrats. That's a huge, especially the whole editing phase. That's like a big step right there.
Yeah, because the editors that I contacted, they weren't available until like March, April next year. So I was like, they were all booked.
I got dusty with an editor. My first editor, I had it like lined up, and the day of it, when it was like all ready to go, I was like, all right, so we're good. And he goes like, oh, I actually just got some other. It's like, what do you mean you just got some other? What do you mean you just got some other? This has been set. This is what we've been doing.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. So that's what's happening. And I did change my cover for book one. So it's up on Amazon. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
And,
oh, you were talking about that last episode.
Yeah.
Continuity. How you like that, huh?
Yeah.
Keeping up with the updates in the AR podcast, whatever I call it, whatever. I'm AR. It's the podcast. Marie, what's up?
So I have started writing again, thankfully. I'm about 4 chapters past my last chapter that was published. So I'm trying to actually just write out the rest of it and then just do my rewrite and editing like at the end of it, so that I can just pump out chapters and just update like one after another, because I realize that I've taken a lot of time off, but it's been for certain things, health issues, life changes. It's been really crazy. My daughter's birthday was this week. My husband's birthday is this weekend. Like everything has been a bit crazy. So I have been trying to write whenever I can. I've been writing like maybe 3 o'clock in the morning. I'll just, even if it's a paragraph, I'm like, let me just get this out of my head and I'll just write it. But so I have been progressing. I'm hoping to start updating again towards the middle end of August. I'll start updating my book again, now that I've started writing again.
Oh my God.
Yay.
We could have a solo like episode on just that, because to be completely honest, I am on the exact same boat. I have not put fingers to keyboard in a serious way in months, you know?
Seriously.
Because like you finish like the first book and you have this feeling of like, fuck, thank Jesus. I don't even want to look. I don't even want to look at my own writing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I'm gonna focus on everything, and then you do that. You know, you focus on other aspects of the writing game, and believe me, there are plenty to focus on. But then at the end of the day, it's like, you know, I like writing, and it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, you probably understand what I'm talking about, but you almost get a little depressive when you're not writing, because that's like your way of like getting your shit out.
It's therapy.
Yeah. And like it's almost like, because you feel bad for not writing and then you don't write, but then that's like what's causing part of the thing, you know? Because like writing
Yes.
is your thing. Writing is like what you like doing. Like just doing it makes you like feel good, and you're like, oh, that's like in your shit. Believe me, I'm right there with you, and I'm just getting back into it myself. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful feeling.
That was me, because I don't know, for the past couple of weeks I have been doing not a bit of writing at all. I just finished a chapter last night, and then every day my husband was like, "You gonna write?" Yeah, I'm gonna write. Laptop is right there. Sandra, the next day, you're gonna write? Yeah. I'm gonna write. Yeah. Whole time I'm binging the Fast and Furious movies, watching all types of
doing
shows.
dumb shit. It's like,
doing
I
dumb
haven't.
research.
When was the last time I saw
research.
Breaking Bad? I can rewatch the whole thing. I can do that in
It's
3
research.
days.
That's all it is. It's research.
Yeah.
And then it's like I'm on TikTok at like 1 a.m. He's like, Sandra, what are you doing? Aren't you supposed to be writing? Yeah, but this shit is it's so interesting, and my mind.
Yes, she is on TikTok. I want to talk more because she sends them to me.
The funny thing, you don't even respond to those. You go like, all right, babe, are you on TikTok? And then you just something like, yeah, but look at this video real quick. You ever seen a gorilla? Dude, it's a gorilla doing the alphabet. The fuck? You ever seen that shit?
I think because I haven't been writing as much as I have to, because he's gonna like, review it before we send it out to the editor. So I think because I'm in my lazy mode, he's on his lazy mode, and I'm like, Justin, like, you gotta start, because I have like 29 chapters like ready to be looked at. So I'm like, Justin, what are you doing? Because you're talking about me to look at you. I gave you the whole first half of the book. So it's just, I don't know. But he's gonna start.
You're lucky you have that. My husband won't do that.
No, but like
it would be like pulling teeth to get my husband to do it. Yet he's on his iPad and everything all the time, watching cartoons and video games.
What cartoons?
And all that shit.
Out of curiosity.
Mostly Japanese.
Oh, anime.
My dad.
I've been watching Looney Tunes lately. Oof.
It's not really
Classic.
anime. I wouldn't.
An anvil dropping on somebody's head will never not be funny.
Did you see Space Jam? Did you see Space Jam?
No.
I am actually.
You want to talk about things
Space
like
Jam.
Yeah, exactly. You want to talk about things ruining my childhood right there. In a
Listen,
nutshell.
the fact that they
Leave
took
it the
out
fuck
Pepe Le
alone.
Pew, thank you.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing of them taking out Pepe Le Pew, I'm like, I boycotted it. I'm like, no, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I'm sure LeBron is cool.
He was part of the childhood, and you know what? I understood. He had affection for her. She didn't have affection for him. I didn't see it as anything other than him just trying to pursue her.
But
they're trying to ruin the whole perception of everything.
This goes back to what we was talking about. I think me and Angel was talking about it. Our first podcast.
No, it's my favorite too.
Our first podcast. Everything now, everybody's so sensitive. So it's just like, I don't know, man.
It's
but I mean,
everything.
Yeah,
they just might cancel this podcast because we mentioned it. Okay, I'm just saying.
Cancel culture. That's what they call it. Cancel culture.
Yeah.
So.
Listen, I think about that literally every episode. That it's like, especially when I'm like in a good mood, I just say something and I'm like, ooh, espérate.
Yeah.
That's gonna be an email.
Whoops. My bad.
Well, the thing is too, is like going back to the whole thing of like procrastination. My favorite thing is like when you set everything up, right? Like you bring the laptop right next to the couch and you're like, not bad, right? Boom. You get the coffee, but like you don't like set it yet. You just like make it so like it can be there in the pot. Because I'm Dominican, I make it in the Dominican pot. You know what I'm talking about, that fucking
the silver thing.
Yeah, exactly, the silver thing. I know no other name for it. So I put that shit in, right? And I get my coffee in that little yellow tin. I ain't bullshitting, all right? So I set the coffee, and in my head I'm like, I bet, watch, I'm gonna eat real quick, I'm gonna watch 20 minutes of XYZ, done. Done. Coffee set. I'm writing. No bullshit. I want 8,000 words tonight. Right? I'm doing like this whole like coach. I'm doing this whole Coach Carter. I'm like doing. In my head, I'm doing the Rocky shadow boxing. I'm ready. Episode 1 rolls on. It ends. Damn, that's a good episode. We could watch 2. I mean,
and you still have
what
time.
is time? What is I'm saying, right? What is time? I mean, the coffee's gonna take a bit anyway. I mean, right? Episode 2 ends. Yeah, that was pretty good. I mean, 3. They're only 20 minutes. If you math, that's only an hour. What is an hour really? You're doing all that math, right?
What is it really doing?
And then you wake up at 4 a.m. talking about episode 7 is like on, but it has that. Are you still watching? And I'm like, and then of course I wake up mad. It's like, damn, you didn't stick to your word. You're a loser. But then again, it's 4 a.m. Might as well go to sleep. And then you go to sleep. Then you wake up and cycle one more time. That's how it is.
That is me down to the T. Like I'll be watching. I've been trying to get my husband to watch because we went to Georgia for the 4th of July.
Georgia.
So,
Georgia.
so he took me. He took me to Covington, Georgia, where they filmed the Vampire Diaries, right? So I'm like, all right, babe, when we come back to New York, I'm gonna watch it. We're gonna watch it. You're gonna see why I love it so much. He's like, yeah. He never got to it. So I started watching. I was like, fuck him. Like I can watch. I'm a binge it myself. I started watching the first season. That's like 22 episodes. And in between, I'm like, okay, maybe I should start writing.
Right.
So now I'm on season 2 and I'm still watching it. I'm binging it by myself, 4:00 in the morning. I'm looking. I'm like, damn, I should really start writing since I'm up anyways. What's another episode? Like, I mean, and then by the time it's like 7:00 in the morning, I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to bed. Like, I'm tired now. So it's just like,
then you wake up. Well, I gotta eat breakfast. I mean,
right.
Most important meal of the day.
Right. And then
how else am I
gonna
gonna get my energy in order to write?
Yeah. And the thing about it is like, okay, because I sit in my own couch, I have my tablet right next to me, and my husband's like, okay, that's good. You're gonna start writing. I'm like, yeah. I'm gonna start writing. Bullshit.
Tomorrow.
I'm not writing.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Then you finally get the laptop on your lap. Your dog sits behind you, gives you that look. You're like, all right, I can pet you for like 3 minutes. 1 hour later, you're still there, like, oh, who's a good boy? Who's your good boy? Then look at the time I gotta go to the gym before it closes. Oh God! And then you come back too tired. Oh well, what can you do?
Well, like
what I've been doing lately is like, I took the dog to get a bath the other day, and normally it takes like an hour. So I was just like, all right, cool. I'm gonna take my laptop with me. I'm gonna start typing. I typed like 3 sentences, and they're like, oh, you can come pick him up in like 15 minutes. I was like, what the? I was like, it's only been like 5 minutes. Oh, he's being such a good boy. I was like, today, right? Today he wants to be a good boy. When I want to try to get some writing done. Thanks. Like, great.
Yeah.
I was like, man.
That.
And it's like, okay, for instance, I had a doctor's appointment last week. Took my laptop. You normally stay at the doctor's office like an hour or 2 before they call you. Sit down, open up the laptop, start typing. Oh, can you come in? Mother effer, really? Okay, close it up, go do the doctor's appointment. Like, really, today? Like, how is it all of a sudden everything's on time? All of a sudden everything's on time.
And then the doctor asks you, so how's that book coming along?
Like, it would be good if you'd let me write. I mean, I was expecting to wait like an hour like I did last time.
And then he goes like, oh yeah, how many hours of Netflix you knock out this week? And you're like, all right. No one asked you. How about you go and get that fucking popsicle thing or whatever the fuck you got to do.
You're supposed to be the gynecologist today, not my shrink.
That reminded me of the thing that I was talking about before we recorded with the fucking but yeah, with the puppets. Now, one thing that I was thinking about, it was right before we were recording, and I thought it was a great little conversation, was the perception of being an author in regards to your friends and family. I think that's like a really interesting conversation. We kind of broke a little bit of it before we started recording when we talked about specifically with you three that you write romance, erotica type of things. And when you hand it off to certain family members, it's kind of like that, like, ooh, I didn't know you were like that. I feel that way to a slight degree because, I mean, if you don't know me on that side of it, I'm pretty goofy. So like, if you find out that I write science fiction, now somehow the conversation changes and you're trying to have like this crazy conversation. It's like, listen, I want to talk about cartoons. I don't want to talk about, listen, thank you for reading the book, but I don't want to talk about the shit right now. I'm having drinks, just like the perception of people changes when they see that other side of you. So like, I'm interested to hear how that works for you. Like, how do you deal with that? Being an author.
Well, like we were talking about, I had personally gave my book to my dad. He was the first person that got it, because him and my mom, they've been, supporting me since I was a little kid, reading and writing. So I specifically told him, because, every time he would go, oh, how's the book coming along? And I'm like, it's great. I will be giving it to you when I see you. I specifically told him, do not go back past the dedication page, specifically. So he told his neighbor about my book, and I went spent the night at his house, and she came upstairs wanting me to sign it and whatnot. And then he comes and he tells me, yeah, I've read like 3 chapters of it, knowing like chapter 2 has a sex scene in a club. So I'm like, Jesus, help me. Because I mean, if it's different if it's like my sister, my nieces, because we do talk about sex. We're very open with each other. Not my nieces are 18, 19 years old. Them two I'm talking about, not the other ones. I'm talking about those
No,
two.
yeah. I have nieces around the same age. Listen, certain conversations we keep to ourselves.
So, we're very, but see, they're very curious, and I'm very sexually active. So they just, they ask me questions, they ask my sisters, obviously they're gonna go and speak to their mom. They ask questions, they're very open with one another, which I think is good in this generation. So that's something different. But coming from my dad, I don't like it. I just don't. And then we were watching a movie at his house, and then there was a sex scene, and he's like, yes, Sandra, this is what you be writing about. I'm like, please don't. Just you're embarrassing.
You see, it's kind of like, my nephews, my 2
If I had a hoodie on my mother, I would just go like this and like zip it up all the way.
I couldn't say nothing,
and
but
melt
just
into
keep
the
on
couch.
drinking. Just keep drinking my wine. Just keep drinking my wine. And I'm like, please no, like, this is embarrassing. Really, really embarrassing. And my husband is just sitting there laughing, and I'm like, this is not funny. Like, this, I just don't like it. No.
Glass of wine, I would have grabbed the bottle like a gooseneck and said,
I should have took my husband's Hennessy bottle and just drank it straight.
Wow.
Yeah, that's well, I guess it goes both ways, because like it really is like a negative and a positive, right? The whole like perception of being an author when it comes to the perception of like your loved ones, people you don't know. Marie, what about you? How's like the perception of like, getting that title and like telling people that you write that, and then even more so interacting with people that knew you before?
So telling adults for me is like nothing. I'm like, if you're my friend, you know me, you know I'm crazy in the best ways possible. So like, this part of me, you'll know it because I've always been very open about that topic in my life. But I was always taught when children are around, you don't do that. Mm-hmm. You hold back. So even though the children are now grown up and have their own relationships, and I know that they're doing the things that I probably write in my book, I still feel weird letting them know that I write this stuff just because I grew up with them. I knew them as children. So I guess for me, my perception is, even though they're not children, they're still children in my eyes, which is really crazy, because I just feel like, no, don't read my book. You don't have to know that I'm writing this at all. But all the adults in the family know. And that's the funny part. All the adults know. Like, even like I would even talk about sex with my grandmother, of all people. Yes.
Okay. That
like, you see, like my mom, my grandmother, my brother, like we're all very open about it. And
yeah, but like how open? Like, we're talking like, diagrams. You have a chalkboard.
Which position?
Yes,
like...
exactly. I would mess around with my grandmother so much, and I would be like, oh, grandma, I was like, you did that, right? Doggy style on all fours, let him hit it from the back. And she'd be like, oh my God. Like she would just like whatever. And then she would start laughing and then hit me and call me a sangana, like it was just good fun and laughs, you know, like it was just easy. But with children around, I refrain from doing that stuff because I'm just like, yeah, no, that's not for your ears. You're still children. And like I said, even though they're older, I guess growing up with them makes me not want to share that part of me with them because I just feel like it's very adult. And even though they are adults technically by age, they're still children in my eyes.
See, I agree with you, but then at the same time, like with me and my nieces, maybe because like we weren't able, okay, because my mom is very old school, born and raised in Puerto Rico, very old school. So we weren't able, me and my sister, we weren't able to come to my mother about certain stuff like that. You know, I would have to go to my sister because she was having sex, like, Debbie, I love you if if she watches this. She was having sex like at 15, 16 years old, and she got pregnant at 16, you know. She had my nieces young. So I guess because we didn't want my nieces to feel like they couldn't come to us, and so, you know, because we weren't able to come to my mom. My mom was like very strict, very old school. Like I remember my sister was like, what, pregnant with baby number 2. I asked her, Mom, when can I have my first boyfriend? She was like 16. I was like, but Debbie's 16 and she's now 17. She's on baby number 2, and I can't have a boyfriend. Like that's not right.
That's why,
You
though.
Yeah.
How about 18? How about that? Huh?
See, that's the funny thing. Like, I wasn't able to talk to my mom about it, but as I guess I got older, I'm like, I should be able to talk to you about all this stuff.
Yeah.
So then I started off by like making jokes about sex and stuff like that with her, and just started talking all sorts of craziness. And then it just led into like, you know, sometimes we just have straight up conversations about it. And like, we're just so open, and it's like, now I'll say stuff and I don't even shock her anymore. She's just like, oh, okay, like this is my daughter. Like that's how she speaks.
That's how it was with my mom, you know. When I got older, I moved out. I was, you know, that's when I was able to come and talk to her about sex with my husband. And, you know, I mean, even till like I was like, what, 20 years old, and I moved out already. And I remember like one time my husband gave me a hickey on my neck, and I like tried to hide it because, you know, it's the respect. No, I mean, like he gave me a hickey. So it's just like, you know, like I would still try to hide it because I remember when I was 15, 16, get a hickey from my husband, and I would have to, I don't know if there's this trick that people do, like females like that. Yeah, and I
or
would like
the ice pack, you like do that and like massage it.
Or
hypothetically,
like
of course, not that, you know.
Yeah.
PG-13
so like
over here.
20 years old and I'm still hiding. She was like, Sandra, what the fuck are you doing? I've been to you. Like, I know we already had a sex. Like, come on. Like, you're already out my house. Like, why are you still hiding? But it's the respect.
For me, like, I don't know. That's an interesting question. For me, it's like, I'm very open about my feeling, but I would say it's more of like emotion wise. I mean, like, I went to DR with my family, and I was being very friendly when I was in DR. So like they saw the full frontal of like that, but it's not like I would, like, you know, when I would come back and they asked me like how my night was, I'd be like, oh, I played checkers, you know. Like I would not get illicit, but like it was obvious what I was doing, but like I would just leave it there. It was like, you know, certain walls that we draw. Yeah, you know, we talked about politics. It was cool.
Right, yeah. So
you know,
about
smooth.
The weather.
Yeah. But again, the whole perception of just like being an author, like the way it changed, especially when it comes to like that specific genre of like erotica.
Yeah.
It's like something that, I don't know, I guess it's almost like death. It's like one of those things that we all experience and like we always like think about, but like we don't talk about all the time. And I think when you get really comfortable with people, it's like when you can actually just like open up and like talk about it to any degree. Now, Laurie, you're the one answer that's been missing out. How is your perception of the whole author thing?
Well, I usually, when I tell people I'm an author, I'm like, oh my God, that's really cool. What books have you written? Blah, blah, blah. And I tell them, like, oh my God, that's really cool. And the thing is that I don't write erotica. So I don't get that kind of like awkward conversation with people. I consider it more like romance, steam, you know, and it's obvious in my books what they're doing, but I don't really go full on like erotic. So it to me, I don't get the same kind of reaction like where I get my nails done. I gave my nail tech a free copy and I signed it. And she's like, I've been telling everybody, I've been reading all about you. Oh my God, I have this new client who's a published author, blah, blah, blah. And so now she wants me to do like a signing at the spa where I get my nails done.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about it, so we'll see what happens. But I don't really get that kind of conversation, like shock value. Oh, and then we go down deep into like what is in the book, and I have because quite honestly, for me, it's more of an awkward kind of a conversation because it's not how in my family we were never really open with it. Never really had anybody that I was ever dating sleep over. Never. My sister was caught with her first husband when they were dating in the basement, sleeping in her bed. Oh. And then he got scared shitless and hid in my sister's closet.
How old were they?
My sister, probably about 20. But they were, but you don't, we didn't do that in my house. You don't do that to especially my father, when my father's a really large man. And he's very kind of intimidating. Even now where he can barely walk, my father has a presence about him. He'd kill him. He chased him out of the house, butt naked, out of my sister's bedroom. And she thought it was cool because, one, we have a private entrance to the basement. So in and out. But no, dude, you're in your parents' house. You don't have a guy sleep over. And then my two nephews, my eldest nephew is 21 now. His little brother is 17. 17-year-old has a girlfriend. I'm hoping that he hasn't done anything, but I'm not stupid to the fact that he might. Their side of the family, their father and his mother and his stepfather owned, they still do, a chain of adult stores, and my eldest nephew works there. He thinks it's embarrassing. He doesn't like talking about what he does for work. He doesn't like, he's told his father, look, you retire, grandma retires, I'm selling the store. I want no part of it. I'm not working here as an adult. There's no way. And they're embarrassed by it. Both of them. I mean, it put food on their table. It fed their bellies. It clothed their backs. But they don't like talking about, well, my dad, my grandmother, they run porn stores. And it's not like they run small mom and pop. These are emporiums. These are huge, like, warehouse stores that they run and operate and own. There's like, they have 2 in South Florida, and they used to have 1 on Long Island. That I think the Long Island one they sold because Jack died, but they used to go down to Key West for Fantasy Fest. They used to go to, they used to do all of that kind of stuff. I mean,
Angel is dying right now.
I know. But I mean, when I tell people that I'm an author, long story short, it's something that people are like, oh, that's really cool. Or, oh, awesome. What kind of books do you write? But whether or not I get that reaction from my family, no.
I'm sorry. It's just, when you were saying that thing about the store, I'm like thinking like a general store, and like, because you very specifically, you are a master with that story, because you left that little thing nonchalantly at like what, page 25 of the story. Oh, they ran a store. You even got all poetic about it. You even got all poetic about it. It fed their stomach. No, it filled their stomachs. It clothed their backs. I was like, oh shit, did you like write that down? That's like artistic. Oh my god, that's like poetry. And then and then it was a porn store. And it wasn't just a regular store. It's an emporium. So I'm thinking like fucking Best Buy, and there's like a whole bunch of girls talking about. Like what are we talking about?
So
and it's not a mom and pop, it's an emporium. It's a warehouse.
It's an emporium. You can get every
I love
color.
it.
You can get that weird alien dick that people are into for whatever god reason. All that shit, buddy.
He just let that
Basically,
slide right
you
on
need
top.
it, they
Great,
got it
great,
there.
great, whatever you want, right here.
Oh
I can imagine like the commercial. It's like your your grandparents all homely. It's like, welcome to our emporium, and it's like fucking just like the most obscene shit you see in the background with like the fucking music in the back.
I should show you what no, but I don't want to put her on camera. I should show you a picture of what my nephew's grandmother looks like. Oh my god. She basically she always looked like a female version of Alice Cooper.
Alice Cooper.
Oh wow.
Wait, Alice Cooper is a male? What?
Yeah.
Yes.
Alice
Kiss?
It's not
Cooper? Oh, okay.
Look
Okay.
him up. He's an old rock star.
No,
He's-
now I have him in my head. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know Alice. Okay.
Well,
Interesting.
it's his stage name. It's not his real name.
Okay.
What was killing me was just you trying to hold it in. You were just there, you were like, and I was just like, oh my god, he's gonna make me laugh. I was like, oh my god.
No, because like there's so, like I laugh. You know how my brain works. So I laughed often, but for the most part, I can like keep it down. But I was like,
I couldn't. I was like, no, Angel's dying right now. I was like, I couldn't.
Their father actually directed and produced his own film. 2 of them.
huh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very.
Yeah.
We
Oh
learn
yes,
something
we're so
time.
proud of him. We're so proud of him.
We learn
Interessado.
something all the time on the podcast.
Yeah. He wasted an entire what was it that he
A
got?
reel?
He got an inheritance. He wasted an entire inheritance, didn't share it with his wife at the time or his 2 children. He wasted a whole inheritance on creating 2 unsuccessful adult films.
Huh.
Unsuccessful, huh?
I don't know how good they did. He did them with a crack whore, so who knows?
What?
So where the money go into for the production? How
The
big was
crack.
his inheritance? Like $4,000? Like
No, he got a nice sizable one, believe me.
Wow.
Yeah.
interesting. Where he put the money? That money went up his nose for sure.
Oh my
sure.
god.
It went up the star's nose.
Well,
Like I said,
Wow.
crack.
She said crack whore. So
well,
That's why I
this-
said crack. I don't know.
in the best segment there's ever been, segue there's ever been on this podcast, I'm gonna go ahead and shift gears to, to something we were talking about before the podcast. And it was actually about a little interesting topic that Laurie brought up. It was the whole idea of how your interest, even though they don't align specifically with the genre, can be influenced by your significant other or just a friend that is like passionate about it if they're really into it. So Laurie was talking about that she started watching Loki. I can't remember I think there was another Marvel movie that she was talking about that she was talking about. No, WandaVision. And we were talking about how much she appreciates. Oh, and Titans. You are right. And she was talking about her appreciation for it and how she is a fan of the story, even though, and she didn't specifically say this, but I'm going to assume that if it wasn't for her husband's input, she probably wouldn't have picked it up on her own.
No, I would have.
Oh, so you would have. So now you're
Yeah.
trying to debate. Let's go, Laurie. Ding, ding, ding. No. No, please go ahead. Elaborate.
No, well, I would have it. I mean, before I started dating him, I enjoyed watching like the Star Wars films and Star Trek and things like around that, because they're fantasy based. I'm not really into. There's still certain, like I've really never enjoyed The Fifth Element. I never enjoyed Dune. Those to me were not like, and I'm talking about like old school Dune, the original miniseries, the one that Sting was in. You never saw.
I haven't seen Dune. I've seen Fifth Element, and my heart did skip a little bit for you saying you didn't like it. The blasphemy. But we're
Same here.
friends,
Same
let it
here.
go.
Wait,
We're
wait,
friends,
I'm
we'll
not-
let it go.
I'm not
Wait,
into
wait.
those.
Wait,
Look,
wait,
everybody
wait.
has their.
The Fifth
everybody
Element is
has their
love,
likes and
ladies.
dislikes.
The Fifth Element is
didn't like-
awesome.
Wait. You didn't like it?
No.
Are you crazy, woman?
Okay, so
Yeah.
wait. So now
That's
now I
Bruce
need to know
Willis at his
what,
prime.
I don't like
didn't
Bruce
you like?
Willis.
Is that what it was? Was it just because it was Bruce Willis?
No, I also didn't like the storyline. I didn't like
Chris Tucker.
Oh my God, he's hilarious.
Oh my God, he was so funny in the movie.
Sorry.
Such a good movie.
No, I didn't like it.
And the homegirl singing.
I don't like it.
All day.
No.
Big Bada Boom.
No.
Big Bada Boom.
Yeah.
No, that's the movie.
I
That is a
didn't
good
like
movie.
it.
I love
like
that
it.
movie.
No, but I've always been into those types of films without my husband. I've watched those types of things, but it's not like a go-to. I mean, it's not like I like more fantasy type of films. I like more ones that are, I guess, like monster fantasy type of films, but ones that are kind of more geared in like I loved Underworld. I saw all Underworld movies. I loved kind of more like adult-esque fairy tale kind of adaptions to films, like Willy Wonka. I was more into Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I didn't like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I did, but I like Willy Wonka better, especially because it was a musical. And Charlie and the Chocolate Factory wasn't. But it had more adult themes to it. It wasn't meant necessarily for children to watch.
Willy Wonka, yeah, without a doubt. You watch that movie as an adult, and you're like, yo.
Yeah, it's because
fairy
tales are not.
No wonder our generation
meant
so
for
fucked.
Kids. No, fairy tales are not meant for children in the first place. They never were.
No, they're not.
They're and that's kind of what gears my writing, especially now with writing A Dormant Howl. I'm taking a lot of different things and themes and creating a fantastical world for with monsters that is a whole bunch of different genres in one. That's the great thing. Like I've always said, every time I've been on here, that's the great thing with the romance genre. So it's so broad that it can be, as long as there's a love story to it, sci-fi could be considered romance.
Mm-hmm. Well, the point that I was making with the whole like interaction with the husband is, do you think it changes your perception of it because you have a person that's so passionate about it? Like when we were talking about it, that he'll go into like riffs about how this character has a connection with this character, none of that. You don't think it adds any level to it to you? Because to me, honestly, I feel like it does. I'm not a huge fan of like rom-coms or like things like that, but if I watch it with somebody that's like into it, I can be more into it just because of their passion of it.
But I'm glad that he's passionate about it. I'm glad that he, there's something, that he takes and with literature loves it and reads it. I mean, that's why he's read all of the canon of Star Wars, and he follows it so closely, and he gets so irritated and annoyed when something changes, and they're all these. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. He has collection pieces all scattered all over his side of the office.
I can see him. I never noticed that.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. He collects things. So
wow.
for that, I'm thrilled that he finds pleasure in those types of things. But for me, they're just stories, because I'm not into it the way that he is. It doesn't change my opinion, and it doesn't not change my opinion. To me, they're just stories. I don't get it the way that he does, and he gets really irritated on how people can say, oh, well, it kind of dictates what the climate is politically nowadays, and the Republic is the good guys and the Empire are the bad guys, and the Empire stands for the Republicans, and the Republic are the progressives and the Democrats. I'm like, it's a fucking story, people.
That's a perfect representation of art right there. I mean, if you can put whatever bullshit you want into it, and it's going to come out if you can get other people to agree with it. The things that people say about the Bible. Like, wait a minute, isn't your God about love? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Well, we were watching, I think Saul was watching something yesterday. Bluey. It's a Disney cartoon. You know, and it takes
The
place
homie.
it takes place in Australia. It's an Australian production company that does it, and they're dogs. They're cartoon dogs. And he makes a comment. He's like, yeah, you know, they have this problem. There was this whole thing that they had this problem with Bluey because they weren't diverse enough. They're dogs. They're dogs. How diverse do you want them to be? They're dogs, and it's for children. They're all different colors. They're brown, they're blue. I mean, what dogs are blue? They're pink, they're salmon colored, but there's not enough diversity. So people are all up in arms about this one stupid cartoon show for children, and they're too diverse. Dude, you're reading into it too much. It's not like it's this complicated. Why can't you just watch a movie and not worry about the undertones and just enjoy the film?
You know what's the worst part? Imagine now that you are an author and you understand the production side of that, imagine being the author taking that flack. You're like, wait a minute, I just like the color. I just like that color. How is this now like, you know, a race war in my literature? Like I had no intention of getting into that level.
Well, it's kind of like I see sometimes, and I laugh at it because I'm like, why? Like the series After, and I'm really sorry, Sandy. I might offend you, but to be honest, I don't care.
If I had a fan right now, I'd be fanning myself. You're too bold.
Well, because it's like I said, I don't write that kind of story. I don't write erotica. I don't write, you know, borderline pornography. I don't write BDSM. I don't write those types of stories. So I find it utterly ridiculous when people are so excited and so involved with like the After and 50 Shades. I'm like, dude, have you really read them? Have you read them? Because they're terrible. They're not written well. They're not told well. At least in my opinion. Nobody else's. There are
in those specific works. It's not like the entire genre is like poorly written, but just those specific ones.
Yeah. And because they were started off as fan fiction. Fan fiction is not New York Times bestselling. And I mean, never will.
Evidently it is though.
Well, but the thing is, it's
you want to get technical.
I mean, quite literally it is.
It is, but there's a reason.
More copies. Look,
movie
more
worthy.
Women, yeah, more people will know about that than Jesus Christ.
But there's a reason for that though. It's because women at times don't want a real story. They just want action. And because they're lacking it in other places. Mm-hmm. It happens. That's the truth of it. And it's fine for other people. I tried watching 50 Shades of Grey. I tried reading it just out of curiosity. I'm like, I can't.
I don't really like the movies that much. I'd rather they're both the movies. I guess it's because the actors that they picked were so just bland.
And it's not always the fault of the original author. Remember, they screenwrite these things. These are screenplays that they base movies off of. So it's not a full version of the book. And a lot of the times the screenwriters, they put their own spin on certain aspects of the film that are not anywhere in the book.
Right.
And a lot of the times authors that have written the original work do not like how the screenplay came out.
Like, okay, so I had read after I first read it on Wattpad, right? So I started getting into it, and I'm like, okay, this is pretty good. Then it comes to find out that it's movie 1 came out, and then when I had rented the movie on Amazon, and I watched it.
Damn.
And
that's commitment right there.
some part.
You rented it on Amazon, the thing you already paid for it. I'm telling you, that's commitment.
So,
I don't do that for any goddamn movie.
but see,
I fucking buy it.
I'm very big on like with books that turn into movies. I like to see if it matches the books, right? So I watched the movie and it was okay. I didn't really like it. I did see movie 2, and it had a lot to do with book 2. The first movie, not so much, and I didn't really like it. But I could say movie 2 was good. Now movie 3 is coming out, and I'm excited to see that, just to see how it is. Because
and
I actually
lots of
auditioned for that movie, but I don't think I'm gonna get it. My read was pretty bad. Every time we got to like the sex scene, I kept on saying, "Ew, why would you do that?"
It's just it's my opinion, which is mine, and it doesn't have to coincide. I'm not pushing my opinion on anybody. It's just my opinion, and those in particular are books that I'm like, it pisses me off. I'm like, it's just too much, and it's not realistic to me. And I just,
isn't that the point?
Like, Mary, what do you feel about this?
It's not a documentary, so it's not supposed to be real. It's all movies are fantasy when you think about it. It's not real unless it's based on true story. Yeah. And if these are fan fictions, they're just writing this because they're a fan of this person, and this is the story they made up with them. So it isn't the whole point of it. Isn't it supposed to be not real? Like, isn't that the point?
Like, I think
to a degree.
I think everything to its point is like fantastical. Like the whole thing that you said about romance, I think it's flipped on its head for guys. I mean, I think the reason why so many guys are like foaming over the mouth about this Marvel thing is that we all have that hero fantasy. We all want to be the guy that lands down on the ground with the fucking hand, one in the air, one in the fist, like that, right? We go like that, and like muscles you don't even know exist in the human body are popping out. You're like, I wake up like this. We all have that fantasy. So then like you watch that movie to basically like get into the head of that. And we can all say that's not what's happening. It's like, oh no, I just really like the story. Shut the fuck up. Like you're living that. Whenever you're watching a movie, you are Iron Man. You know what I mean?
They're vicariously living through the character.
Exactly. So like romance is the women version of that. Like, maybe your man's not pushing you against the wall and doing some crazy shit how you like it. So you got to flip open a book for it. Listen, no one's judging you. As long as you still are in a happy relationship, and that's what you need in order to do whatever you need to do, power to you. But it is all fantasy. And it's all escapism, really. I mean, honestly, even self-help books, let's be honest, are escapism to a degree. Because when you're reading the book, it's amazing. And then when you step out and you gotta apply it, now life's different.
Yeah.
This sounds so great. It sounds so easy. Wait, how do I?
But then when
you're reading, it's like an epiphany. Like, oh my god, I never thought about it like that way. Oh my god, the writing. Oh my god, this person's revolutionary. You sent out a tweet, changed my life. 3 weeks later, you're doing the same shit because it's way harder to actually do it than to read it.
You're rereading the book again. Wait a second, I don't get it.
Easier said than done. Easier said than done.
Yeah.
They should write a book of that. Easier said than done.
No, and that'll be it. It's gonna be me with a picture of me going like this.
Well, right? No. It has to be the pose. It has to be the pose on the floor. Exactly.
Angel, you posed a very good question that I want to return to for just a second. When you asked us each what people think of when, or like the misconception, the conception of an author. I basically, there are times where, and I've seen it, to where, like people post videos of what people kind of seem to think an author is or what they do. And a lot of the times they're like, people say to them, oh, well, aren't you going to get a full-time job? I mean, you can't do that full-time. You can't do that all the time. Or what is it that you do? You just sit in front of a computer and just, just think for hours at a time. I'm like,
and then what do you do?
Right.
I see your Instagram. So what the fuck are you doing at work?
I mean, you're
on more than I am, and I use it to work.
I mean, but people have that misconception that we don't do anything, all day long, that we don't have lives that we're living, that all that we seem to, it's not easy, especially when the book is all complete. Then there's another task on top of that you have to consider.
And it's like a way bigger task. Marketing is like,
Oh, that's
80% of the battle.
But what do we actually, at the end of the day, what do we make out of it? And it's, we're in a genre, even sci-fi is a huge competitive world.
I mean, writing in general is extremely competitive. Amazon's dropping 30 million books a year now. All self-published, not even published.
But you think about it though, how hard is it to get yourself out there? And half of us are all doing it by ourselves. We don't have the agents that top authors, and half the time those top authors that make those the New York Times bestselling lists, they're shit authors.
They're bought.
They're not. But a lot of the times, you wonder what these people think good writing is, and they make the list. You're like, dude, how are they any different than me? Oh, I know what the difference is. They have an agent that they can afford to have. They have a publicist. They have this, they have that. I'm doing it all myself, but what's the difference? And half the time, they have people that have a whole team of people that are helping them. And who do we have? We basically have ourselves. I'm paying everything.
And each other, honestly. I mean, that's a huge resource.
Well, yeah, and you have your connections and everything. But a lot of the times it's you. And these people seem to think, oh, well, you're an indie author. What is it that you really, that you do, that you're dedicating all of this time and energy, and what you're not seeing it out of it? No, but I enjoy it. I enjoy putting the story together. I enjoy doing the research for it. I enjoy doing all of that. And so what if I don't? Yeah, would it be great if all of a sudden I get recognized and somebody wants to, and yeah, fine. But I enjoy what I'm doing, so it's kind of like there are times where you feel so like you're being judged. And it's unfair judgment because they don't know. I mean, you're sitting probably in a cubicle, fiddling your thumb and wasting more energy posting, your lunchtime routine than sitting down and trying to put a story together.
Yeah, dude, it will never like everything you're saying is just like so on the money, especially like with the whole like thing that like I'm in like the age that everyone's like the young professional, like always like with that head like a head in their mind. It's like, oh, I got to work all the time. It's like, wait a minute, but like you're texting me, right? And I'm the one that has to put my phone down because I'm being distracted. How the fuck are you not distracted? You're on a 9 to 5. I vividly remember my 9 to 5 days. I was a senior engineer. Like I like fucking like blueprints had to go through me, and even then, you know how many hours of I wrote a good portion of my book during that time frame. The amount of hours that get wasted. And now with the writing, I spend more hours writing, like working a week than I ever did in those fucking previous jobs. But the judgment is like still there. Every so often, like a family member would be like, oh, so like what? You get like I'll be like, oh, I'm working. They'll be like, oh, you get like a new job. It's like, bitch, what are you talking about? New job? I'm still writing. Like we're still going. Podcast is still alive. I'm still alive. Everything is like, that's the route I'm on. That's what we're doing here. But like people just have that perception of like, oh, well, like,
they just think we're just not doing anything, just sitting down, doing nothing. And
they also think that writing is easy.
My favorite part is the same people. If they get asked to write 1,000-word summary for their job, oh my fucking god, they need a week for that one.
Meanwhile, we're here writing sometimes my longest chapter I've ever written was 5,000 words.
I'm saying.
And I wrote that in like I'm not even kidding, like 3 hours. I wrote that 5,000 words in 3 hours. Like they think it's easy and it's not. Like I had made a professional Facebook just for my books, so market my books on there, and I have a TikTok as well, so I market my stuff there. And I had made the TikTok videos, and I have with my characters in my book, and then I had posted it on on Facebook. I guess the person didn't like
The song.
the song, and he called me ratchet. He said you need to think about what you're putting out. He said and then whatever. I said good day, sir. I said good day. My husband was like, maybe you shouldn't write back because you're starting to get your name out there. You don't want to be sounding unprofessional. I was like, all right, fine. So I deleted the whole post. I put another post. Aren't you the same one that made this song? Like, he just popped up on my page again. Aren't you the same one that put that song out? You need to think about what you're putting out. You need to think about this. I'm like, oh my God.
Like, dude, what do you do for a living that you're taking your time out of your day?
And he's like, yeah.
And you don't even follow me. Who the fuck are you?
Right. So I'm just like, all right. So I was like, one more time, and he's getting blocked because this is ridiculous. Like, it's so judgmental being.
And you're better than I am because I would have blocked him right then and there, right after he did it the first time.
Yeah.
I wanted to curse him out, but
I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done that. I just would have been like, block you.
Like, it's ridiculous. I don't know. People are crazy.
Well, kind of going backwards into like the question I had posed before to Laurie, you kind of had the opposite thing to that whole to the whole like being into your spouse's genre thing, right? Because before we started recording, Lexi, you were talking about that you're usually the one that like wants to like talk to your husband about whatever things that you're passionate about, and he's the one that you're like, all right, wanna leave me. So how does that work out, being on the opposite end of that?
Who, me? I mean, he like, I mean, really, because I'm into rom-coms, I'm into comedy. When I started dating him, that's when he got me into action movies and video games and whatnot. But if I'm really passionate about a movie, a show, and I want him to watch it, and I've watched it a gazillion times, and I'm like, all right, we got our wine here, we got the popcorn, we got our snacks, you're gonna watch it with me. We start getting watched, and then I'll pause it. I'm like, well, this is the part where he said, like, this is so and so, and I'll go into detail, and he's just looking at me, and he's just like, might as well just pause the movie and tell me the whole story right now, because like he calls me a motor mouth. Like, I just don't know when to shut up. So he's like, listen, you keep talking, I'm just gonna pause this whole movie and I'm gonna go watch my own shit, because like my boyfriend, look at me, my husband is very blunt with me. So
I'm gonna tell him.
You tell Justin, me and you're gonna have some problems. So it's like, he's very blunt with me, and he's like, yo, shut the fuck up, please. Like, I'm really trying to watch it, and you keep yeah, but this is it. So I mean, I'm the one that usually is the one that just tells him the whole story, and then if he wants me to watch something, I'll be the one asking him questions, and he's like, just shut up and watch the movie, just please.
I'm more subtle about it. If I don't like watching a movie, that's when my hands start like creeping up on your thighs. Like, oh, babe, I want to watch the movie. It's like, yeah, me too. But then we're watching something I want to watch. I'm like, get your fucking hands off me. The good scene's about to come on. Head in the game. Now, Marie, you have a similar thing, but like, honestly, I feel like you're pretty good in the middle, because it seems like you actually generally are into the same movies. Like, every time we talk, you always bring up Godzilla and King Kong. So like,
he's the mature one of the group.
Yeah, you need to watch that, Angel. Seriously.
So no, but like, I'm more interested in like, how do you feel that energy kind of correlates? Because it feels like your husband has that energy of generally want to watch it, and you do too. How do you think that morphs when you watch a movie together? Because like, I think that's awesome, because I would say for me, it's like, I'm a huge like cinematography buff. So even if we're both into the movie, I'll definitely geek out and be like, oh, you see how that shot reflects the XYZ and all that, And I think when I get really into it, the person that I'm with gets into it. And if the person I'm with is like really into music and they can like point out a certain chord, now I'm more interested in it too. Like how that passion just kind of like, oh, that's cool. How do you think that like works into like your relationship and the things that you watch?
So I So I'm into like the DC universe, Marvel. I like all that. My husband hates the fact that I tend to confuse them. He's like, no, that's Marvel, or like, no, that's DC. I was like, listen, I like both. Like, I can't help it. I'm sorry. But he gets really into it. So I was saying before that we'll be watching a movie and I'll ask one question that I'm thinking that it will be just something real short and simple. And then he like pauses the movie and he gets like right into detail. Like as detailed as I am in my book, that's how he is verbally when it comes to these movies. And he gets into it. And then I'm looking at him like, can I watch the movie, please? I'm like, I want to know what happens next though.
Can I just have the Cliff's Notes version, please?
Yes, I'm like the
my
quickest,
God. Especially
simplest
when it comes to
answer is what I
Marvel.
want.
And then he'd be
Yeah.
like, there is no Cliff Notes when it
Yeah.
comes
Exactly.
to
He's like,
this.
but
No,
he's
it's
like, but you
true,
have
though.
to
It's the worst
understand
part.
what when they were born, it wasn't like this. And then this transferred when they were like 5, and then this happened when they were 15 and a half. And like, he
And
just
don't
goes on
forget,
and
there's
on.
another world that has a different version of this story, and then it's got yeah.
The multiverse, like the whole thing. And like I love that he gets into it. So my husband is a gamer. And when I say he's a gamer, I mean he has every game console you can think of. And I'm not even exaggerating.
Like everyone?
Everyone.
Does he still have a GameCube?
Yes.
Does he have Ty the
Really?
Tasmanian Tiger?
Does he have what?
Ty the Tasmanian Tiger.
Okay, I don't know about the games themselves, but I wouldn't be surprised if
I've
he
been
did.
looking, like I really don't game, but that game, I grew up on that game. I've been looking for that game, searching, hunting. I want to play that game so badly. I never got to beat it. And you know, like those things that you just like have like a, damn, I never got to do that.
Okay, so when this podcast is over, tell me the name again and I'll ask him when he gets home today.
I need that. I need that in my life. We're gonna connect. We're gonna do a mental bond thing. I don't know what this means.
Like, okay,
but...
let me put it to you this way. My husband is such a big gamer that our wedding cake topper was me dragging him away from the Xbox. And then like
wow.
and then all around him was like a Diet Coke can, some PS4 games. It was the PS4 back then, not now, the new one. So it was some PS4 games. It was the GameCube, the Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64. I had them make all the different gaming consoles, the Switch, the whole thing, because he has all of this. And that was our wedding cake topper. It was literally me in a wedding dress pulling him away from the Xbox. Like, we gotta go get married. Like, let's go.
That's awesome.
But like, I love the fact that he games though. Like, there's this one game that I tell him he can't play without me, which is GTA. I love GTA. Oh
man, how did I know you'd be into that type of shit? 100%. Do a drive-by. 50 points for the grandma. Bow.
I love GTA.
You know what I love doing on that game?
What?
Like going by the laws. Like I'll stop at the red light. And I'll let people pass. Like I'll do that for 10 minutes. And then like I'll hit one, you know, I'll like eat the corner by mistake, be like, fuck it. Pop, 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 pop. Get on the helicopter, jump off.
Well, okay, wait. I think it was in GTA 5, the last one. Oh my God, what were the characters' names again? I always forget his name. And he's like my favorite.
Actually? Right?
No. The one who always wakes up in his underwear drunk.
Angel?
No. The one that he's in love with Maria. That
Angel.
It's not Angel.
Angel.
I'm so done with you.
No, I mean, you keep on hitting out the head.
Well, this character, like every time he wakes up, he's drunk in his underwear, pining away for a married woman. And I'm just like, what is wrong with this guy? Like, he cracks me up every time he's this character. I'm like, yo, this guy has problems.
Yeah, that's Angel.
And I'm just like,
God, he just wants loving. He just wants some loving, you know?
That's
That's
exactly.
yeah.
He just wants some loving, but he wants loving from a married woman who's like
Hey,
leading him
you
on,
know,
by the way.
look, hey, beggars can't be choosers, okay?
She's leading him on, by the way. She's always calling him, leaving him these cryptic messages. And he's like, oh, Maria. So funny.
Yeah, that's my life right there.
And, and it was just so funny because like, I would tell him like, don't play until I get home. I want to see, like, I would literally stop him from playing this game because I just sat down and I watched him in like awe, like, oh my God, that's so hilarious. Like, oh, go over there and shoot that person. Oh, go do, like, it was just hilarious. I loved it. there are certain games that I could sit down and just watch and play for hours. And then there are other games where I'm like, yeah, I gotta write. Bye. Like, sorry.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I think my wedding topper would probably be me like looking aloof at a tree. And then like the girls over here just like, are you gonna, hey, what's up?
She's like,
What are you
hello.
doing? Hi, how you doing? I'm just like,
The
damn,
wedding's this way.
I do.
Cool
I
ass
do.
tree. Damn. Baby, look at that tree. Oh yeah, my bad. I'm here. No, I forgot. I just got lost in my head.
That's today.
Oh, for real? I mean, I don't know. I thought I looked good every day. Well, whatever.
This is how I normally dress up in a tux. Like, what are you talking about?
I don't know.
This is every day. Check my
Top
podcast.
hat, tails.
Check my podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, is that today? Because I actually do have a podcast at like 5. Do you think we can wrap it up at like 4:30?
We can start the honeymoon afterwards. Don't worry about it.
Oh, you mean photos too? We gotta take pictures. Ooh.
Oh my god, I hate taking pictures. But
Oh, me too.
You're gonna
My
see.
God.
So his wedding cake topper is gonna have the headphones on with the mic. That's what it's gonna be. The headphones on with the mic.
and then like
staring at the tree.
And then in the reflection of my glasses, you can just see homegirl like this. And I got that emoji face on the. I can't even mimic it. You know what I'm talking about. It's like that oval smile.
Yeah.
Oh
you know
my
what,
god.
Angel? You had actually, I don't know if it was in a previous podcast, but you had mentioned about people like kind of not feeling like self-published authors are the same as traditionally published authors. Okay.
Conversation just took a turn.
Yes, it did. Sorry, you segue. But
No,
you
it's a
wanna know
great
something?
thing to end on.
I actually had a thought on that.
Please.
So I think one of the reasons why some people may feel that way is because sometimes these self-published authors, for lack of a better way of saying it, publish crap.
Yeah.
So I'm of course on Instagram and I see posts from other authors, and sometimes I see people posting stuff and it's like straight up text talk, doesn't make any sense. The wrong words are used. There's no punctuation. It's like just like a paragraph of just words with no nothing, no context. And you know what I'm talking about. We spoke about this.
I'm gonna stay quiet this part.
But and then it's like this person, I saw this person talking about they want to self-publish, and I'm just like, ooh. I'm like, if reading just your post on Instagram for 30 seconds hurts my brain, I can't imagine reading your book. And I'm just like, and then from what I'm hearing, some of these people don't like getting critique about fixing what they're writing. And I'm just like, well, if you can't take criticism, how are you going to get an editor? And if you're going to publish yourself, your book is not going to sell when you can't even speak English properly.
They don't use editors.
No, you know what's the worst part is that is where I disagree, right? That last little thing, it actually will fucking sell. And that's the thing that I was talking about with the whole marketing thing. And that's what kills is that, I mean, I'm not going to mention any names, but I have a good friend that's an author. I believe he was, no bullshit, the second or third author I've ever had on this podcast. It was the first time that I picked up the book. And I'm not saying the first time like after that, but like, I mean, he was literally my third guest. And I remember it was the first time that I picked up a genre of that book and was actually blown away. I remember I read the prologue and it was one of those things of like, oh, fuck. This isn't just an author I get to talk to. There's an author I actually want to pick the brain of. And I remember our conversation was great. And just recently, last week, he deactivated his account because he felt like, his posts weren't getting enough looks. He feels like he's not breaking even. The same thoughts that literally, not even thoughts, the same realities that we all deal with when we're just not doing right in the marketing scheme. And then you take these people over here that are writing shit, not going through the proper channels of like doing it, getting like a shitty ass cover, just like a copy and paste, whatever fucking was in their genre. They just take that exact idea and just, change the faces, like do a couple little different things. And then they just publish it. And then their marketing is on point. Because I have a thing about pride. Like, I don't like to, like, I have no one on my Instagram that's family or friends. I like everything that anybody that comes in, I want it to be like that you're coming from my writing. Yeah. There are people that use that to the exact opposite. They're using their friends like a network. And I'm not downing that at all. But those people don't always come off with the hardest shit. So those people go ahead and market it like a motherfucker, and those books are selling and they're doing well. And I think that, to me, is what's making the discrepancy between self-publishing and traditional publishing. Because when you have these books that are selling well and are, you know, being promoted by Amazon because of the search history, the amount of volume that they're being moved, the revenue that they're bringing in for this person, and somebody picks it up that's not a family member, that's not a friend, that doesn't intimately know this person, that hasn't seen their post on Instagram, they could pick up the book and they're like, yo, this is fucking trash. And they equate that to the entire, not the entire genre, not the writer, not even the type of writer that they are. They equate it to the entire industry of self-publishing. And that is where we are fucked. And I've glossed over that literally almost every episode I've had, at least 90% of the episodes, I gloss over it. I never say that it's a part of the authors. I always say that new authors need to bring it more. But if you read in between the lines, honestly, that's what I mean. A lot of people are not coming with it. You know,
Okay.
like us as an industry, like we need to like raise the bar if we like plan to really compete against these people. As Laurie said, we're not just competing with talent, we're competing with money. A New York bestseller does not equate to actually being a New York Times seller the same way that J.K. Rowling had it. It could just be the publishing company bought that shit for them. Numbers are really easily manipulated nowadays.
Yeah.
So there's a huge thing behind that. And marketing dictates everything.
That's true, because this person that I'm thinking of, they definitely do market a lot on
and they're good at it.
Platforms.
It like hurts your feelings. They're like, fuck, they're actually a lot better than what I'm doing.
Okay, because so I know who Mary's talking about, and she was
tell me later.
It's just, it's just when I saw, yeah.
I'm interested to know.
We'll talk. But it's so funny because like when I saw this latest post, I was just like, what the hell is this? Like when I say no punctuations, using the wrong words, like it wasn't like the wrong tense. It was just a complete wrong word for what they were trying to describe. Like I had to sit there and decipher the sentence for a minute. And I was just like, if this is how they're writing, I'm like, I don't understand. Like I could not read their book. Like, I don't get it.
Personally, I've read the person that you're talking about. I've like read like 2-3 chapters, and I mean, me coming out as a new author on Wattpad last year, I wasn't the best, but like you can know what the freak I'm saying. So, and I've progressed since then. So still to this day, this person, I'm just reading and I'm like, what the hell is she talking about? And then like, you know, with Inkitt, you get reviews. So I remember one time she got her first review, she liked it. The second review, the person told her, you know, like I was confused. I had to keep going back in the book to see what you were talking about. And she brought it to our attention and she got so upset. So I told her, I was like, you know, if you want to write, you have to learn how to take criticism. Like you guys can ask Mary, if every chapter I send it to her for book 2, make sure it's okay. And she'll leave comments. This don't make sense. Go back.
That pool thing was killing me. I was like, yo, what are you talking about?
It's Grammarly. It went on by itself. I accidentally clicked on it by itself because you know with Grammarly it has like a little box at the bottom. And
I don't use Grammarly, so I don't know. But all I know
is
I was like, yo, what is this pool thing about? Like this makes no sense.
And you gotta understand too, sometimes with Grammarly, I've used it in the past. Sometimes their corrections are not necessarily corrections,
right?
You know,
so I'm not trying. I use it, but only when I need to
it's good. It's good as a jumping off point. I mean, it's helpful, helpful, but it's not necessarily the tool to use when you're you know.
Right. So like I'll send chapters to Mary and she's like, please go back and fix some things. But see, that's the thing. I appreciate the criticism. I appreciate the feedback because that makes me know, like, you know, I'm growing as an author and I'm as a person and what I can do better. This person, she gets so mad that she just literally will just stop talking to the whole group chat for a while. So I don't
Well,
know.
yeah, because and that's a shame, because when it comes to certain things, especially with critiques, you know, you're asking somebody that, number one, might not necessarily get the content or the the genre that you're writing.
Genre.
Yeah.
Oh God.
And
Don't get
so
me too
it's
now. Gender of
it's
books. I don't need that one. I really don't need that battle. I really don't.
I'm not going, don't worry.
And
about it. I'm
again,
not talking,
if you
I'm not.
email me any bullshit, I'm not responding. Telling you. I might even take a snapshot of it and post it.
Listen, I'm gonna start emailing you just for fun. Like, did you just say this?
Oh, and you know what? You know what? I veto what I just said. I am gonna respond, and I'm gonna way lean into it. Yes, I did. I hate that group, and very specifically, I actually was just talking to a friend of mine that we should start knocking them out.
My whole thing is repetition.
Yeah.
When you are using certain words, I mean, dude, there's things called thesauruses. Use a goddamn thesaurus. Look up on Google the synonym for a certain word.
Yes.
I mean,
that's what I do.
That's what you should do.
And you should know it. Like if when you're writing, well, I can't speak for everybody, but I feel like when you're writing, you kind of narrate your own writing, like the cadence of it.
Yeah.
The moment you hear a word repeat too much, that's when you hit the thesaurus.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
The moment you realize yourself, it's like, oh, I've used that adjective kind of. It's like the twice.
A lot.
Yeah.
Well,
So
there's something that I'm
editing
for a friend of mine that constantly uses the same word over and over and over again. I'm like, and it's like one paragraph in 5 different lines, the same damn word. And I'm like, no.
The demon came out.
Yeah.
And
she was ready to unleash.
I'm like, it's
What
getting,
did I do?
and after a while, that particular word loses meaning. It loses
the emphasis
that you're
in
trying
the
to put.
sentence.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be one single word. You can try to think of a phrase and a descriptive phrase that equals the same thing. You don't have to use that one particular word over and over and over again. So like it's like, dude, if I stopped reading your book when it was on a Wattpad because it was it was a mess, why would I buy it? Why would I buy it? So yes, authors like that give the whole grouping of self-published authors bad names, because they think, oh, well, if this one particular self-published author writes this way, they all must write that way, because they don't have the training, they don't have the experience, they don't have the people to help them.
Right.
I mean, giving it to friends and family.
To be fair,
yeah.
Imagine like you're walking by and you're like, oh, you know what? I actually could use, like, I got a little cut in my hand. I could use like a Band-Aid. Maybe somebody look at it. Are you going to go to the guy that's like, in his van talking about like, hey, yo, bro, nah, listen, I'm actually a pretty good doctor. Nah, for real. Like, I got these 5 people behind me. They all said 5 stars. I'm telling you. It says verified customer. I'm telling you. Nah, I'm telling you, I'm a good doctor. And then you're walking by and there's like a doctor in a full uniform talking about like, and let's be honest, it's quite possible that the doctor in the van is a better doctor. Very possible. But it's just like that perception that it's like, oh, well, like, they have facilities, they have things, they have people around them. And the analogy of that van is kind of what I mean, is that like we need to make ourselves not look like a van. We need to get like a little storefront, little lemonade stand, right? Like we need to make ourselves look more attractive.
The writer is in.
Yeah, we need to make ourselves look more attractive as an industry to people.
Yeah. But that's not easy to do either, because then you have people who come up and say, oh, and not to give anybody, I'm not trying to offend anybody, quite honestly. But again, it's those people, those shingle hanging kinds of people that give helpers bad names. I I recently, and I felt so terrible for her because she went the traditional route, more hybrid. And that's another kind of industry that you have to worry about as well, because hybrids can be considered scams, just as publishing liaisons can be considered scams. You have to be very careful. When I first was, and they've been around a very long time. They've been around since 1995. And when I heard the name of the main company that she went through, I was like, ha, 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 ha. There was a reason why I didn't go through them, because they're scams. And I looked them up. They don't pay royalties to authors. And which I find to be very disheartening, because this woman spent 8 years of her life with this one particular book that she's been writing, editing. And I actually was looking forward to buying it because it sounded like a great concept, but I refused to buy it if she's not going to get paid. She's South African. The company I went through, Yukioto, they're a Canadian company. They paid the royalties through PayPal. PayPal, if you're an international author, you go the traditional route, you want your royalties paid. If you don't have a bank that's a US bank, that's what PayPal is for, or any other kind of paying platform. They'll accept it. I had a friend who used them. She's South African. She gets paid. She has no problems. My friend in Haiti, Victoria, she gets paid, no problems. This one particular, so what their excuse, this one company, their excuse not to pay her royalties is utter bullshit. It's BS. They can pay her. They don't want to. And now she's stuck because there's no way to get out of her contract.
Yeah, those are definitely kind of words to live on. More of a depressive note to end on, but honestly, it's a true note. I mean, you really have to pay attention to what you're doing, not only in the industry of self-publishing it, but just any route, especially when we come to the whole thing of well, Laurie brought up a really good point on that, like 50% of us are doing it alone. What's sad about that is that people read those numbers and go like, all right, well, there's an industry to be manipulated here. And companies, believe me, have risen and are rising that take advantage of that idea, that concept, and they just ream authors for royalties that honestly they have no credit and taken away from them.
And another sad part of that,
we are all adults here. Make sure you do your own research.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
It is not their fault for making money. That is the world that we live in. It is your fault for not doing. I guess I'm not trying to victim shame here, but like diligence.
Exactly. There's no reason.
It's your baby. It's your baby.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't give your baby to a stranger without doing like proper background checks. So like
I wanted
the same way.
And I wanted to ask her. But I didn't want to make her feel even worse than she already felt. Like I said, I wanted to say to her, I said, didn't you read the contract? Didn't you look at it? And I didn't say it to her because I didn't want to make her feel worse, but there is no reason why this particular company can't pay her. They don't want to. And if they can't pay her, they should not be taking clients that are outside of the US or Canada. They just shouldn't. And it's a shame. But that's the problem with what people think the difference between traditional and self-publishing is. You have to do a lot of the legwork on your own, and you have to know who you're going to bed with, quite honestly, because God forbid she publish her book anywhere else. She can't, because they own the publishing rights. She has the copyright. She owns copyright, but she can't publish it just anywhere, because they're going to be the ones that have all of the attorneys and can sue her for breaking the rules on her contract, because she goes and she publishes it elsewhere. She can't.
Those are words to heed, honestly. But turning on the light note, right? Laurie's book Dreaming of Wilder 2. First, what? I believe you said first 2 chapters are on Kindle.
No.
Kindle.
Dreaming of Wilder is the book number 1.
Yep.
That one
Available
is being
now,
edited.
right?
No, being
okay.
edited. Sealing Our Fate, which is the sequel to Dreaming of Wilder, is out on Kindle Vella.
That's what I said. I said that.
Yeah,
I said Dreaming of Wilder 2 on Kindle Vella, and you said no. Jesus Christ, Laurie.
Get it together, people.
I'm telling you.
And Adornment Howl is still on Inkitt. And Masters of Redwood, which is that I'm co-authoring with someone, is also on Kindle Vella. So
yeah, definitely check that out. Laurie has honestly been prolific this year. Like, honestly, just claps. I feel like every time we talk, we have like another 2 titles to talk about. It's honestly impressive.
Thank you.
Lexi, Lust and Deceit 2. I believe you said that your husband is doing like the preliminary editing phase before you send it off. So like you're aiming for a release date this year, right?
Yes. By the fall. Yeah, because it depends on when the editor is finished with it. So yeah, it's being sent out August 28th. I have a couple of more chapters left to write. Book 1, if anybody wants to buy it, it's still on Amazon and Kobo. Am I saying it right? Kobo.
Bucky.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kobo. Kobo.
Yes, it's actually on there as well.
Kobe.
Hobo.
Hobo.
Lobo.
Hobo and shotgun.
Oh my God.
Popo.
And then we have
Soho?
Marie finally getting back to writing. Woo! Dreadful Desire. How many more chapters do you plan on going?
It's
for that
still
one?
going to be at 85.
20.
It's, no,
20.
so I still have about
3,204.
Pretty much. Let
I
me
feel
tell you,
like
when I finally get an editor, I'm gonna have to pay like 10 grand just to edit it because of all the damn words that are in it. Okay,
you're not lying.
like it's insane.
We're gonna pray for you, sister.
Yeah.
Pray for me. You sound like Steve Harvey with that one. No, but
stop at 5,000 chapters, okay?
Okay.
No, the thing is, like we always like kind of like make fun of that, but like honestly, I really don't see the difference in like making sequels or just making one big work. I mean, it's essentially the same thing, right?
I mean, War and Peace didn't have a sequel.
No, and I'm being genuine about it. Like generally, like what is the difference between having 1, 2, and 3, or just having one big work that's like split up?
Because each work has different plots. So like book 1 is called Dreadful Desire because the thing she desires most is the thing that she dreads most. So that's why it's called Dreadful Desire. Then in book 2, the title of that book is going to basically be the main theme of that book. Book 3 that will be the main theme of that book.
Okay.
So for me, that's how it is. I don't know about anybody else.
You can't tell us book 2's
Yeah,
name?
but yeah, that still works though, I think, honestly.
Not
like
title for
Dreadful Desire, like
2?
broken up into different parts. I think that works.
I have a title for book 2, book 3, book 4, the spin-offs. I have it all. I have 8 books under my belt right now, but I only have 1 on Wattpad.
But you can tell she doesn't want to talk about it because she was looking down. You saw that?
Yeah, I was like, no,
Psych 101, people.
Yep.
Don't want to talk about it.
The nerve.
Because you know what it is? I don't want to spoil anything as to what it's going to be. Like, you can ask Lexi here. I have shown her like aesthetics that I've made for book 2 already, banners, all sorts of stuff. Like I've already started stuff for book 2 because I'll get an idea. It's like before I forget it, I want to write it down. Like I've shown her my phone. Like there are so many notes in my phone for book 2. There are notes in my phone for book 3. There are notes in my phone for book 4 for the spin-offs, the whole 9. It's insane.
I know everything that I'm saying.
Well, I mean, as always, I mean, just over the moon, 3 ladies, such a great conversation, so funny. And I mean, like the honest like talent that like radiates between you 3. I'm just always impressed every time we talk. Now, again, for every person, every title that you've heard here, hop on Amazon. All 3 of these ladies are on Amazon. You Google that shit, you get their things. Well, I'm sorry, you're just on Inkitt and Wattpad. Well, not just. You're on Inkitt and Wattpad.
I'm Inkitt, Wattpad, and Booknet. And I found out something good about Booknet too. Booknet has an audio version where you can actually let it read to you. And that I will be
Like a
honest with you,
lullaby.
that's how I do some of my editing. I'll put it on there and I'll let it read back to me to see if I made any mistakes, which catches a lot.
And
Just
I'm
FYI.
actually a voice actor for that. So you can actually put an angel setting on there and I'll talk to you in a French
No, you're
accent.
not.
Yeah, huh? Yeah, huh? I'll talk to you in a French accent. Yes, huh? You can set it. I can. Do I speak French? No. Is my French accent good? No. But it exists and it's out there. And
Somebody snorted.
And also, if you want to hear my audition for 50 Shades of Grey, I'll give you a little snippet. It was something along the lines of "Spank my ass, daddy." Ooh, 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 ooh. What's that word there? What's that word there?
Wait, you were auditioning for Anastasia?
Grab the whip. Listen,
Wait,
you get
you
work
auditioned
how you
for
get
Anastasia?
it. You get work how you get it. Okay? Okay? I don't discriminate. All right? I'm out here trying to get paid.
We're in the pandemic, people.
I'm saying you gotta eat. You gotta eat how you eat. All right.
Oh my god.
All right. I'm eating seafood. I'm eating steak. Whatever you got. Whatever on your plate is on my plate now. Anyway. This is the end of the podcast. AR Sales, aka the ART podcast. I'm joined by the gang once again. We got Velma. We got Scooby-Doo. Who's Scooby-Doo? We can call me that.
That'll be me. That's fine.
All right, we have everybody here.
Daphne.
Yeah, Laurie Oknowsky, Alexandra Robinson, Marie Terry. Find all these people on Instagram. I'm telling you, you type to them, they will probably respond. It's going to be a great conversation. I can almost guarantee you. Check us out Monday and Friday for new episodes. Peace out.